The huge meeting hall floated in empty space between three dying stars. The walls were made of crystal that changed colors when different alien voices spoke. Captain Lee Hyen walked slowly to the center of the room. His dark eyes looked at every strange creature sitting around him. Some had too many arms, some looked like giant bugs, some were made of light itself. All of them were much older than humans. All of them thought they were much smarter than humans. Behind Lee Hyen stood Commander Park Mina and Engineer Kim Tae. They wore simple blue uniforms that looked very plain next to the fancy clothes and metal body parts worn by the aliens. The three humans looked small and weak in this room, full of powerful beings, but their faces showed no fear. Lee Hyen reached the speaking platform and looked up at the floating crystal being called Nexus Prime. This creature was the leader of the Galactic Council. It glowed with cold blue light that made everyone feel uncomfortable, honored. Council members, Lee Hyen said in a calm voice, humanity has served this alliance for 200 years. We have fought your wars. We have built your space stations. We have died for your causes. Today we ask for one simple thing. The tall bug creature, called Vorthek, clicked its sharp mouthparts. It had 4 arms and eyes like black marbles. Humans always want something. It said, what is it this time? More planets, more resources, more special treatment. Lee Hyen felt his jaw muscles get tight, but his voice stayed calm. We want you to stop the slave raids on the outer colonies. 3 million innocent people were taken last month alone. The council promised to stop this 6 months ago. Nothing has happened. A wave of uncomfortable silence moved through the room. The slug-like creature called Jalarian moved forward, leaving a trail of slime behind it. The outer colonies are very far away, it said in a wet voice. These slave raiders are hard to catch. Surely humans understand how difficult this is. We understand perfectly. Commander Park Mina stepped forward. Her voice was cold as ice in space. You make money from those raids. The slaves end up working in your factories, in your pleasure houses, in your private armies. You never planned to stop the raids. The room exploded with angry sounds. Bugs chittered, reptiles roared, electronic voices screeched. The council chairman, Nexus Prime, began glowing angry red light. How dare you accuse this council of such terrible crimes, it said. Humans forget their place in this galaxy. Engineer Kim Tae pulled out a small computer. His fingers moved fast across the screen. We have the shipping records, he said quietly. We have the money transfers. We have the secret messages. Every single one of you has bought slaves from these raids. Even you, Nexus Prime. The words hit the room like a bomb. Nexus Prime flickered between red and yellow light, which meant it was very upset. Impossible, it said. Even if such records existed, humans do not have permission to investigate. Council members, Lee Hyen smiled, but it was not a happy smile. You are right. We do not have permission, which is why we are done asking for it. The bug creature leaned forward with its sharp claws extended. Threats now, it hissed. Humans forget they are the youngest species here. Your technology is primitive. Your numbers are small. You exist because we allow it, do we? Park Mina asked quietly. Tell me, when was the last time any of you fought a real war? Not police actions against weak planets, not small fights over resources. When did any of you last face complete destruction and survive? The room became very quiet. Every alien species in the council had reached space travel through slow, peaceful growth. They had inherited stable civilizations that developed over millions of years. Only humans had fought their way up from a dangerous world, surviving ice ages, diseases, and countless wars against each other. Kim Tae kept reading from his computer. In the last 2 centuries, humans have fought in 63 wars for this council. We have won every single battle. We have never run away from a fight. We have never surrendered. We have never abandoned our allies. Do you know why? Because you are too stupid to know when you are beaten. The slug creature said with a nasty laugh. Because we are too angry to care. Lee Hyen corrected. And right now we are very, very angry. Nexus Prime glowed with blue light that was meant to show it. Thought humans were foolish. What exactly are you suggesting? Human, that you will fight a war against the entire council. You have 12 ships in this system. We have thousands. Li Haiyan looked around the room one last time. He memorized every face, every species that had broken their trust. We are not suggesting anything, he said. We are done talking. This is our final warning. End the slave raids within 30 days, or we will end them for you. And if we refuse, the bug creature challenged. Park Mina smiled and several aliens moved backward in fear. Then you will learn why every dangerous animal on Earth learned to be afraid of humans. The three humans turned and walked toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed in the suddenly quiet room. As they reached the door, Li Haiyan stopped and looked back. "Oh, and counsel," he said, "when we walk away, we will not be coming back." The door closed with a soft sound. The 47 alien species stared at the empty space, where humanity had just declared war on the entire galaxy. In the silence that followed, many of the aliens began to understand that something had changed. The humans had not begged. They had not negotiated. They had not tried to make deals. They had simply stated facts and walked away. This was not how younger species were supposed to behave. The Vorthik creature clicked its mouthparts nervously. "They cannot be serious," it said. "We have ruled this galaxy for millions of years. Humans have been here for barely 2 centuries. But even as it spoke, the creature remembered something troubling. Every war the Council had fought in recent memory had been won by human soldiers. Every difficult engineering project had been completed by human workers. Every dangerous mission had been carried out by human volunteers. The aliens had become so used to human competence that they had forgotten humans were supposed to be the weak ones. Nexus Prime dimmed its glow as a terrible thought occurred to it. What if the humans were not bluffing? What if they really could do what they threatened? What if 2 centuries of faithful service had been preparation for this moment? The crystal being began to pulse with nervous yellow light as it realized that humanity had just walked away from the protection of galactic law. They were no longer bound by council rules or treaties. They were free to act as they saw fit, and everyone in the room suddenly remembered that humans were the only species that had evolved as persistence hunters. They were the only ones who never gave up once they decided something needed to die. The meeting hall fell silent, except for the humming of the crystal walls outside in the darkness of space. The human ships were already moving toward the exit points. Their engines glowed like angry stars disappearing into the void. The Council had just learned that there was a difference between ruling through law and ruling through fear. They had used law to control humanity for 2 centuries now. They were about to discover what it felt like when the humans used fear to control them. 3 days had passed since the humans walked out of the council meeting. Ambassador Nexus Prime floated in the war room, staring at the huge display screen that showed every human settlement in known space. What he saw made his crystal core grow dim with worry. The screen was covered with thousands of bright dots. Each dot was a human ship, and they were all moving in the same direction, away from council space toward the empty darkness at the edge of the galaxy. The movement was so organized and smooth it looked like a living thing pulling away from danger. Report. Nexus Prime commanded the group of alien intelligence officers standing around him. General Kick stepped forward. He was a big reptile with 4 arms and purple scales that showed. He was confused. "The humans are moving, but not like we expected. They are not getting ready for war. They are leaving the slug creature called Jalarian trade." Minister moved closer to the screen with wet sounds. "Leaving for where?" "That is the problem," General Kick said. "They are heading toward the galactic rim beyond our sensor networks. Every human colony ship, every transport, every civilian vessel. They are taking their entire population and leaving on the display." Thousands of dots moved together like a school of fish swimming away from a predator. The movement was so perfect and planned that it must have taken years to organize, sir. A nervous bug technician said, "We are getting a transmission from the human evacuation fleet." "Put it on screen." Nexus Prime ordered. Captain Li Haiyan appeared on the display, but he was not standing on a normal ship bridge. Instead, he stood in what looked like a massive factory, with thousands of humans working behind him at stations covered with flashing lights. "Council members," Li Haiyan began his voice calm and professional. By the time you receive this message, the evacuation of all human territories will be complete. We are withdrawing from Council space permanently. This is crazy, General. Kix roared. Where do you think you can go? There is nothing beyond the rim, except empty space and radiation storms. Li Haiyan continued, as if he had not heard the angry reptile. We want to thank you for teaching us a valuable lesson about galactic politics. You have shown us that real civilization cannot exist alongside slavery and corruption. So we are going to build our own. Camera moved slightly, showing the true size of the facility behind him. It was not a space station or a normal ship. It was a moving construction platform, and it was building something enormous. What is that thing? Whispered the Jalarian Minister Engineer Kim. Tay voice came from somewhere off-screen. Generation ships. 12 of them. Each one can keep 10 million humans alive for 1,000 years. We are not just leaving Council, we are evolving. The Culving display showed technical details that made all the aliens gasp in shock. The human ships were not just transport vessels. They were complete civilizations with factories, terraforming equipment, and weapons that looked frighteningly advanced. How? Nexus Prime demanded. How did you build all this in 3 days? Commander Park Mina stepped into view. Her face showed cold satisfaction. We did not build it in 3 days. We have been building it for 50 years, ever since we first realized what kind of allies we were dealing with. Every human colony, every outpost, every peaceful research station has been contributing to this project. The meeting hit the Council like a physical blow. For 50 years, while serving faithfully in Council wars and building their infrastructure, humanity had been secretly preparing for this exact moment. Slave raids were just the final straw, Li Haiyan explained. We gave you every chance to prove that this alliance was worth saving. You failed. General Kix's warrior instincts made him angry. You cannot simply walk away. The Council has invested resources in human territories. We have established trade routes. We have built strategic positions. We have rights. You have rights. Park Mina laughed, and the sound was sharp enough to cut metal. Tell that to the 3 million slaves taken from the outer colonies. Tell that to the families you destroyed. Tell that to the children you sold. Tell that to the civilizations you ground into dust for profit. The screen flickered, showing images that made several Council members look away. Human surveillance footage of slave auctions, Council ships loading prisoners, species they had promised to protect being herded into cargo holds like animals. We documented everything, Kim Tae said quietly. Every crime, every betrayal, every lie. We are taking that evidence with us, along with 47 detailed files on each of your species. Your weaknesses, your technologies, your military capabilities. Just in case you decide to follow us. The transmission began to fade, but Li Haiyan's final words came through clearly. The slave raids will end in 27 days, Council, not because you will stop them, but because there will not be anyone left to conduct them. We are going to make sure of that. The screen went dark, leaving the Council chamber in shocked silence. Outside the great windows, the last human ships were visible as tiny lights disappearing into the cosmic darkness, carrying with them 2 centuries of accumulated knowledge about every species in the galaxy. What have we done? Whispered a small representative from the Peaceful Meditation Guild. Nexus Prime Corps pulsed with deep red rage and fear. We have created our own destruction, but the worst was yet to come. Reports began flooding in from across Council space. Human facilities that had seemed like simple research stations or small colonies were revealed to be something much more complex. As the evacuation proceeded, these facilities activated hidden systems. Massive underground factories emerged from beneath peaceful farming communities. Advanced shipyards rose from ocean floors on water worlds. Weapons testing facilities revealed themselves on moons that were supposed to be empty. The humans had not just been preparing to leave. They had been preparing for war. A Vorthak intelligence officer chittered nervously as he read his reports of the humans left behind something at every facility they evacuated. What did they leave? Nexus Prime asked, though he feared the answer. Messages, sir. written in our own languages carved into metal that will last for millions of years. They all say the same thing. Intelligence officer activated his display, showing images from dozens of worlds. The message was always the same, burned into indestructible alloy, in letters 3 meters high WR. Here we watched, we remembered, we will. Aratiro Kick stared at the messages, his purple scales now pale with fear. They planned this. They planned all of this from the very beginning. Yes, came a new voice from the chamber entrance. Dr. Yoon Jin, the former human liaison officer, walked calmly into the room, as if she still belonged there. We planned for this possibility from the moment we joined your alliance, because we knew that any civilization built on exploitation would eventually try to exploit us too. How are you here? Nexus Prime demanded our security. Systems were designed by human engineers. Dr. Yoon smiled. Your weapons were tested by human soldiers. Your communication networks were built by human technicians. Did you really think we would not leave ourselves a way back in? She activated a small device in the chamber filled with new images. Human ships, but not the evacuation vessels. These were warships, sleek and deadly, and utterly unlike anything in Council databases. Meet the volunteers, she said. The humans who chose to stay behind to make sure the galaxy learns its lesson. We are what you get when you push the most peaceful species past their breaking point. Warships in the hologram seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their weapons were completely alien to galactic military thinking. Your mistake, Dr. Yoon continued, was thinking like prey animals. You assumed that when we left we were running away. But humans do not run from predators. We hunt them. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and Council, the next time you see one of our ships you might want to surrender immediately. We have gotten very, very good at this. The door sealed behind her, leaving the Council members staring at displays showing a galaxy that was no longer under their control. The humans had not just left, they had declared war on everything the Council represented, and somewhere in the darkness beyond the galactic rim, 12 generation ships carried the future of humanity toward the stars, while behind them the Retribution fleet prepared to remake the galaxy in the image of justice. The Council finally understood that they had not been ruling humanity for 2 centuries. Humanity had been studying them. 3 weeks after the human exodus, the first reports began coming to the Council chambers. At first they seemed like small problems. System failures, communication breakdowns, equipment malfunctions. But as more reports arrived, a terrifying pattern became clear. The slave raids had not stopped. They had been completely destroyed. Ambassador Nexus Prime floated before a holographic display showing the wreckage of what had once been the most feared pirate fleet in the galaxy. The Crimson Reapers had terrorized the outer rim for decades, taking millions of slaves while the Council looked the other way. Now their entire fleet of 200 ships was nothing but expanding clouds of debris. There were no survivors. General Kix reported, his reptilian voice tight with disbelief. No distress calls, no battle communications, no evidence of a fight. They were just gone, all of them at the same time. Jalarian Trade Minister moved forward, nervously leaving a wet trail behind him. How is that possible? The Reapers had military-grade shields, automated defense systems, early warning networks. They were spread across 12 star systems. That is not the worst part, said a new voice. Dr. Vex, the Council chief scientist, materialized in the chamber through quantum transport. Her crystalline form was flickering with worry. We found something in the debris field. The holographic display changed to show a piece of twisted metal floating in space, burned into its surface in letters that glowed with radioactive fire. Was a simple message in the common galactic script. Warning number 1, humanity warning. Number 1, Nexus Prime Core pulsed with fearful yellow light. There are more. As if his words had summoned them, alerts began flooding the communication array. The bone merchants of the Andromeda Spiral gone. The flesh traders of the Vega Consortium disappeared. The Slavers Guild of the Outer Terminus destroyed. In every case the same pattern. Total destruction with no warning, no survivors, and no trace of the attackers. But in every debris field there was a message. Warning number 2, humanity. Warning number 3: humanity. The numbers kept climbing. 12 slaver organizations destroyed in 3 days. General Kix read from his tactical display. Combined fleet strength of over 3,000 ships gone without a trace. What kind of weapons can do this? The answer came from someone they did not expect. The chamber doors opened, and Dr. Yoon Jin walked in as calmly as if she still worked there. The kind of weapons you get when you spend 200 years studying how every species in the galaxy fights their wars, she said, walking to the center of the chamber. Impossible. Nexus Prime flared with angry light. The humans left. Our sensors confirmed it. Dr. Yoon smiled like a teacher talking to slow students. The civilians left. The families, the children, the elderly, the ones who wanted to build something new in the dark between stars. But did you really think all of us would abandon the galaxy to slavers and tyrants? She activated a holographic projector, and the chamber filled with images that made even the warrior reptiles step back in alarm. Human ships, but not the ones they knew. These vessels were sleek, angular, and radiated a sense of deadly purpose that made the air itself seem dangerous. Meet the Retribution Fleet. Dr. Yoon announced every human who chose to stay behind, every veteran who could not stand the thought of leaving innocents to suffer, every engineer who wanted to see their weapons tested in real combat. We are what you get when you push the most violent species in the galaxy past their breaking point. Ships in the hologram were unlike anything in Council databases. They seemed to absorb light rather than reflect. Yet their weapon systems were completely alien to galactic military thinking. Your mistake, Dr. Yoon continued, was thinking like prey animals. You assumed that when we left we were running away, but humans do not run from predators, we hunt them. General Kix's warrior pride made him angry. Enough of this theater. If you want war, we will give you war. The Council commands the resources of 47 star systems. Do you? Dr. Yoon asked mildly. Because according to our intelligence, 17 of those systems have stopped responding to Council communications. It seems their populations have decided they prefer human protection to Council exploitation. The chamber erupted in panicked chatter as representatives tried to contact their home worlds. The responses were few and alarming. System after system reported the same thing. Mysterious ships had appeared in their space, offering protection from slavers in exchange for neutrality in the coming conflict. You are breaking apart our alliance. The Jalarian minister accused your alliance broke itself. Dr. Yoon replied, we are just offering people a choice: protection from slavers or continued membership in a council that profits from slavery. It is surprising how many choose freedom. Nexus Prime Core began pulsing rapidly with rage. This is an act of war against the Council itself. No, Dr. Yoon corrected, this is justice. For 2 centuries we have watched you turn a blind eye to atrocities. Because they were profitable, we have stood by while innocent species were butchered and enslaved. Because you told us it was complicated and diplomatic. We are done being diplomatic. She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed a star map of the galaxy. Red markers showed the locations of destroyed slaver fleets, while blue markers showed systems that had declared neutrality. The pattern was clear. Humanity was systematically dismantling the galactic slave trade. You have a choice, Dr. Yoon announced. End the slave trade voluntarily. Prosecute the Council members who have profited from it. Establish real protections for vulnerable species, or we will do it for you. And if we refuse, General Kix growled. Dr. Yoon's smile disappeared, replaced by an expression of cold determination that made the temperature in the chamber seem to drop. Then you will discover that humans have spent the last 2 centuries learning everything there is to know about your worlds, your defenses, your weaknesses, and unlike you, we do not limit ourselves to attacking only the key defenseless. The holographic display changed again, showing detailed tactical assessments of every Council world, every military installation, every defensive system. Every possible weakness was cataloged and analyzed with terrifying precision. Humans had not just been serving in Council wars, they had been studying them, learning every tactic, every strategy, every piece of technology. The council had trained their own destroyers. You see, Dr. Yoon continued, we learned something important from you. The galaxy is full of predators and prey. You taught us that the strong take what they want from the weak. You showed us that mercy is weakness and justice is whatever benefits the powerful. Thank you for the education. She turned to leave then. Paused at the door. Oh, and council, the next time you see one of our ships you might want to surrender immediately. We have gotten very, very good at this. The door sealed behind her, leaving the council members staring at the holographic display where the red markers continued to multiply. Each one represented another slaver fleet that had simply ceased to exist. The silence, a minor representative from the Meditation Guild, spoke in a whisper. We created monsters, no Nexus Prime corrected his core pulsing with deep purple resignation. We created justice, and now it is coming for us. Outside the station, human ships moved through the darkness like silent death. Each one carried the accumulated rage of 2 centuries of watching innocence suffer. Each one was crewed by humans who had chosen war over peace, because peace had failed the innocent. Galaxy was about to learn what happened when the most persistent predators in known space decided that something needed to die, and that something was the entire system of exploitation that the Council had built their civilization upon. The hunt had begun. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council took place in the deepest bunker beneath the capital world. The once grand chamber with its floating platforms and crystal arches had been abandoned for this cramped, heavily shielded underground facility. Fear had driven the galaxy's most powerful beings into hiding like frightened prey animals. General Kix paced the small chamber, his forearms moving wildly as he spoke. 37 slaver organizations destroyed. 19 Council-aligned systems have declared neutrality. 4 of our own member species have formally left the Alliance. The humans are tearing apart everything we built. Not everything, corrected Dr. Vex, her crystalline form flickering with nervous energy. Only the profitable parts. Slave trade, the exploitation networks, the protection rackets. It is almost like they know exactly which parts of our civilization are corrupt. The Jalarian trade minister, now much smaller due to stress, moved forward, because they do know. They have been watching us for 2 centuries, documenting our crimes, learning our weaknesses. We trained them to destroy us. Ambassador Nexus Prime floated at the head of the table, his core pulsing with the dull gray of defeat. 3 days ago, the Council had commanded the loyalty of 47 star systems and trillions of beings. Now they were down to 23 systems, and those were wavering. Humans sent another message, announced the communications officer, a bug creature whose shell had turned pale with fear. Play it, Nexus Prime ordered wearily. The holographic display activated, showing Dr. Yoon Jin. But she was no longer in a simple ship chamber. Behind her, the view showed the bridge of what could only be described as a fortress in space, with hundreds of humans working at stations that seemed to pulse with barely contained honorable Council members. Dr. Yoon began, her voice carrying the mock politeness of a predator playing with its prey. We hope you have had time to consider our proposal, end the slave trade, prosecute the war criminals among your ranks, and establish real protections for vulnerable species. We have been monitoring your communications, she continued, and we are disappointed to see that, instead of reform, you are planning a military response. The Reptilian Empire has mobilized its battle fleets. The crystal beings have activated their defense networks. Even the peaceful Meditation Guild has begun arming their temple ships. General Kix snarled at the snarled at the display. Of course we are mobilizing. You are destroying galactic civilization. Dr. Yoon smiled as if she had heard him. We want to be very clear about something. We do not want to destroy your civilizations. We want to save them from themselves. But if you force us to choose between your continued existence and the freedom of innocent beings, we will choose freedom. Every time. The display shifted to show tactical readouts that made the assembled Council members gasp in horror. The human fleet was vast beyond imagination. Not just the sleek warships they had seen before, but massive construction platforms, mobile shipyards, and weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. whispered the bug communications officer. How did they build? All this 2 centuries of preparation, Dr. Yoon explained as if answering his question directly. Every human engineer who ever worked on council projects kept detailed records. Every human soldier who ever fought in council wars studied your tactics. And weapons, every human diplomat who ever attended council meetings memorized your political structures and weaknesses. The display showed a cross-section of one of the human ships. Its interior was not divided into traditional sections like other space vessels. Instead, it was a seamless integration of living spaces, manufacturing facilities, and weapon systems. The humans had not just built ships. They had built civilizations designed for war. You taught us that the galaxy is a dangerous place. Dr. Yoon continued. You showed us that the strong prey upon the weak, that justice is whatever benefits the powerful, that mercy is a luxury that civilized beings cannot afford. Thank you for the education. The transmission began to shift, showing real time footage from across the galaxy. Human ships were everywhere, but they were not attacking military targets. Instead, they were systematically dismantling the infrastructure of oppression, freeing slave labor camps, destroying trafficking networks, protecting refugee convoys. We want you to understand something, Dr. Yoon said, her expression growing serious. We do not hate you. We pity you. You have become so used to living with evil that you cannot imagine a galaxy without it, but we can, because we are going to build one. General Kix slammed his fist on the table. You cannot remake the entire galaxy in your image. We are not remaking it in our image, Dr. Yoon replied. We are remaking it in the image of its victims, every species you have enslaved, every world you have exploited, every civilization you have destroyed for profit. They are all here with us now, part of our fleet, part of our cause. Camera moved across the human ship bridge, revealing something that made the council members' blood run cold. The humans were not alone. Standing beside them, working at the control stations, were representatives of dozens of species, many of them supposedly extinct civilizations that the council had written off as economically non-viable. Meet our allies, Dr. Yoon announced, the keepers of memory, who you said were too primitive to deserve protection. The singing crystals of Andromeda, who you harvested to extinction for their musical properties. The hive minds of the Outer Rim, who you broke apart and sold as individual slaves. They all remember council, and they all want justice. Transmission began to fade, but Dr. Yoon's final words came through with crystal clarity. You have 24 hours to begin dismantling the slave trade and prosecuting war criminals. After that, we will dismantle your entire civilization and rebuild it without you. The screen went dark, leaving the council members in stunned silence. Outside their bunker, they could hear the distant rumble of ships launching, their own fleets heading out to face an enemy that had turned the galaxy victims into its army. What do we do? Whispered a minor representative. Nexus Prime core pulsed with the deep red of desperate fury. We fight with everything we have. Because if we do not, we will cease to exist as a political entity. The humans have given us no choice. Actually, came a new voice from the chamber entrance. They have given you every choice. You just keep making the wrong ones. Every head turned to see a human male in a simple gray uniform walking calmly into their most secure facility. He was tall and lean, with the patient expression of someone who had expected this moment for a very long time. I am Admiral Min, he announced, and I am here to discuss the terms of your surrender. The chamber erupted in shouts and threats, but Admiral Min just smiled and waited for the noise to die down. When it did, he spoke again, his voice carrying the absolute certainty of someone who held all the cards. Gentlemen, ladies, and assorted entities, he said politely, the war is over. You just have not figured it out yet. How did you get in here? Nexus Prime demanded. The same way we got into everything else, Admiral Min replied. We built it. We designed your security systems. We programmed your computers. We trained your guards. Did you really think we would not leave ourselves a way in? He walked to the center of the chamber as calmly as if he owned the place. Behind him, the doors sealed with a sound. That suggested they would not be opening again soon now. He said, "Let us discuss how this is going to work. You are going to dissolve the council. You are going to turn over all war criminals for trial. You are going to help us build a new government based on protecting the innocent instead of exploiting them. And if we refuse," General Kix growled. Admiral O'Min's smile never wavered. "Then we will do it without you. But I think you will find cooperation much more comfortable than the alternative." War was indeed over. The council just had not realized they had lost it 2 centuries ago, when they first underestimated the species that never gave up. 6 months after the fall of the Galactic Council, Admiral O'Min stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Nexus station, watching as the first ships of the new Galactic Protection Alliance prepared for their maiden voyage. The station itself had been completely changed. The fancy chambers of the old council were replaced with useful spaces designed for real governing rather than political games. "The slave trade is officially extinct," reported Commander Cho Hai, approaching with a data tablet in her hands. "The last trafficking network was dismantled yesterday. The survivors are being processed through the healing centers." O'Min nodded, his expression staying carefully neutral. "And the war criminals, 43 former council members, are in custody," Cho Hai said. "The trials will begin next month. The remaining 4 chose exile to the Dark Matter Nebula rather than face justice." General Kix was among those who chose exile. "Probably wise of him," O'Min said quietly. "The reptiles he commanded were not as understanding as we were." The observation windows, they could see the results of their victory. The new Alliance ships were smaller than the massive war vessels of the old Council, but they were faster, more efficient, and designed with a single purpose: protection rather than control. Each vessel carried a mixed crew of humans and the species they had freed, working together as equals rather than masters and servants. Cho Hai continued, "We are receiving reports from the Outer Rim colonies. Agricultural production is up 300% now that the protection rackets have been eliminated. The Meditation Guild has formally thanked us for freeing their temple worlds from administrative oversight, and the Singing Crystals of Andromeda have completed their first new song in 2 centuries. Min allowed himself a small smile. "What about the holdouts, the Jalarian Syndicate and the Bug Hives are still refusing to join the new alliance. They are trying to rebuild their own power structures in the independent sectors. Intelligence suggests they are planning some kind of military action. Let them plan," O'Min said calmly. "They will learn the same lesson the old council did. You cannot build a civilization on oppression forever. Eventually the oppressed fight back." A soft sound indicated an incoming transmission. The holographic display activated, showing Dr. Yoon Jin, but she was no longer broadcasting from a warship. Instead, she stood in what appeared to be a vast garden with children of dozens of different species playing in the background. "Admiral," she said warmly, "I wanted to update you on the colony worlds. New Eden is thriving. We now have sustainable populations of 17 species that were previously endangered. The former slaves are adapting well to freedom, though many are still struggling with the idea that they do not need permission to make their own choices. That will take time," O'Min replied. "Generations of oppression are not healed overnight." "What about the resistance movements?" "Mostly disbanded," Dr. Yoon reported. "Once people realized we were not replacing the council with another human empire, the fear began to fade. The few holdout groups are more concerned with keeping their own power than actually opposing us." The scene behind Dr. Yoon shifted, showing massive construction projects where former slave labor camps had been. Instead of the grim industrial facilities of the past, these were vertical farm schools and research centers. The change was so complete that it was hard to believe the old structures had ever existed there. "Is one concern," Dr. Yoon continued. "The generation ships that left with the civilian evacuation have been sending back reports from beyond the galactic rim. They have found something out there, Admiral, something that makes the old council crimes look like petty theft." "Oh." Min's expression became sharp. "What kind of something?" "A machine intelligence ancient beyond measure and completely hostile to biological life. It has been systematically sterilizing entire galaxies, and it is moving in our direction, the civilian fleets estimate. We have maybe 50 years before it arrives. The implications hit the chamber like a physical blow. After all their efforts to create a just galactic civilization, they were now facing a threat that could end all biological life entirely. How many ships do we have combat ready? Min asked quietly. 2,000, with more being built every day. Show. Hai replied, but Admiral, if this machine intelligence has been destroying entire galaxies, what can we possibly do against it? Min turned back to the observation window, watching as a group of young beings from different species worked together to repair a damaged transport ship. They moved with the easy cooperation of people who had never known the artificial divisions that had once torn the Via's galaxy apart. We do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds, he said finally. We fight, we adapt, we survive, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. A new voice entered the conversation. Captain Li Heian transmitted from the bridge of the exploration vessel that had first made contact with the machine intelligence. Admiral, there is something else. The machines are not just destroying biological life. They are studying it first, learning from it, incorporating successful adaptations into their own systems. They have been growing stronger with each galaxy they consume. Then we will teach them something they have never learned before. Oh, Min said, his voice carrying the quiet confidence that had seen humanity through 2 centuries of galactic politics. We will teach them that some things are worth fighting for, even when victory is impossible. The transmission ended, leaving the station in thoughtful silence. Around them, the new galactic civilization continued its work of healing the wounds left by centuries of exploitation, but now they faced a new challenge, one that would test not just their military might, but their very right to exist. Min looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere in the dark between galaxies, an ancient enemy was moving toward them. But for the first time in galactic history, that enemy would face not a collection of self-interested species, but a true alliance, one forged not in conquest, but in the simple belief that all thinking life deserved freedom and dignity. Commander, he said to Cho Hai, send a message to all Alliance worlds. Tell them it is time to prepare for the real war, the one that will determine whether biological life has a future in this universe. She moved to carry out his orders. Min remained at the window, watching the stars. Humanity had walked away from the corrupt Galactic Council, but they had not walked away from the galaxy itself. Now, as the ultimate test approached, they would discover whether their belief in justice and freedom was strong enough to survive the dark between the stars. The galaxy had been reborn. Soon they would learn if it was strong enough to live in the distance. The first of the new Alliance ships began their patrol routes, their mixed crews working together in harmony that would have been impossible under the old system. Humans and aliens side by side, not as masters and subjects, but as equals united in the cause of protecting the innocent. Age of exploitation was over. The age of protection had begun, and somewhere in the cosmic dark, an ancient evil was about to discover what happened when it threatened a galaxy that had finally learned to stand together. The humans had walked away from corruption. They had walked toward justice, and they had taken the entire galaxy with them. Now they would face their greatest test together, as one people under the stars, fighting not for conquest or profit, but for the simple right to exist free from fear and oppression. The new galaxy was ready for war, but more importantly, it was ready for peace. A peace built on justice rather than exploitation. A peace that was worth fighting for, even against impossible odds. Humans had taught the galaxy how to walk away from evil. Now they would teach it how to stand and fight for good.